So the next thing I want to do is hopefully going to be really simple, but sometimes there are weird settings that I keep forgetting about. But I want to get this light out of here. So it's just an invisible light. It just illuminates the space and gives me that feature light. And where the light is coming from really isn't relevant to me right now. I would say, well, let me preface this whole unit by saying, generally speaking, if you're going to have light in a space, like a source light that exists in the actual picture plane that you're rendering, you really want to show the thing that it's coming from. But for certain, sort of abstract exercises, maybe you don't. But this would be how you fix that. It's really a material issue. So what we're going to do is jump into this feature light setting, and we're going to modify a couple things. So we want to go into, let's see here. Hang on a moment. All right, we're going to add a layer. So let's add a layer. Just right-click on Feature Light and add a layer, and it's going to come up as BSDF. Yeah. Don't ask me what that means. I don't know. So the important factor here is what we're calling transmittance. That means how much light and imagery, basically how translucent is the source of the light. So if you take a look at these LED lights, right, if you were to model one of these, you would probably put a BSDF layer with a transmittance that's probably somewhere in the middle, right? It's translucent, but not transparent. So that's what this is going to do for us. We need to change this to a white color. And then the other thing we need to change here is ND. So we're going to change that to a value of 1. Okay. So in case you're curious, ND is basically like an environmental coefficient, I think is a good way of trying to describe it in a simple way. But what the Maxwell guidebook or whatever, and I'll show you that resource in a little bit, basically says that that is air, meaning nothing is there. Yeah?
I have a quick question. You have 2 folders? Does that make a difference if you have one? I have 1 folder.
You created a BSDF without creating a second folder?
Yeah. Yes.
What did you right-click? Did you right-click on layer, or did you right-click on feature light?
Oh, add layer. Okay, never mind. I forgot. I got it. Never mind. I got it.
Okay. So basically, I guess if you right-click in the layer folder and you add BSDF, it'll go in there versus creating another folder. The intricacies of layering all these things, I don't create materials in Maxwell very frequently, so I don't, the hierarchy stuff is where I get tripped up quite frequently. But anyway, so what we're going to do here is, let me just find this other setting we're trying to create here. I just need to find this other setting. Hold on. I guess we'll just we'll skip this for now. We'll go into what I want you guys to do for your actual assignment here, and then I think I'll dig up exactly what the setting is for Wednesday, and then I'll get you guys going on that. But we can place these little lights in the space now for the assignment, and then just swap them out for hidden objects later on. So. The objective is basically to finalize your lighting and develop whatever the item is that you want to show in the space. Okay, so don't go crazy, don't think too hard on it, but pick something that is going to reflect a particular type of light. And I guess what I mean is, let me find a good example. Perfect. Okay, so something like this, right? The lighting is very specific to the activity that's supposed to happen, right? So this particular light is trying to create space within space with nothing but light, right? It's ethereal space. So, or that's just what I'm guessing, just by seeing the image, right? So anyway, whatever your idea is, we're trying to capture something like that. Do I expect you to be able to create ethereal space at this stage in the game? No. I would expect you to be able to isolate a particular type of component in a space and highlight it in a way that makes sense. So if you have objects that are sort of on the periphery, you're able to place lights somewhere that's going to illuminate in a, I guess, a directional way. Let me find, well, I mean, that pretty much speaks to it. I don't need to find too many examples, but you know, you get the idea, right? They're basically just directional lights that are highlighting a particular feature in space. Okay, and feel free to play with reflectivity. I think that it's really essential to look at how the light that you're shining onto an object will reflect onto objects around it. So if you put you know, elements in the space that are near the periphery, and you shine light on them, then that light is going to reflect off onto the walls adjacent to it, which is a pretty interesting light study. Okay, so what our objective is here for the next half an hour, I would like you to spend some time modeling something that we're going to work with. Okay, and then I'm going to kind of, you know, flip around and talk to each of you at some point about you know, how you might want to light it, what sort of study you might want to do, if you're going to do cool or warm lighting, and just generally speaking, what is the objective of the space. Okay. Don't overthink it. I know some of you, your minds are like, oh my god, that's not enough for me to go off of, right? Just pick something and go with it. It's not about a design exercise. It's just about executing on an idea. Okay? Any questions? All right. So if you guys need inspiration, I guess my final parting thoughts, feel free to just, you know, look for museum exhibits. You know, just Google what's happening at LACMA or MoMA or, you know, whatever your favorite artist or sculptor is. Try and find something that's indicative or, you know, kind of means something to you, because that's going to help you figure out, I guess, some inspiration about how you might want to feature something that means something to you. Does that make sense? Okay.
Will it work with curved objects as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at well, it started to burn out at the end, but you can see ever so slightly that the illumination of the space is actually kind of reflected on this object itself. So you can't really see it down here because I don't have any uplights from below, but if this was closer to the wall, you would see that this light up here is bouncing off of it and kind of illuminating the floor and the wall possibly, depending on the angle. And how intense the light is too. Okay? All right.